so far, the only submission of the night, I believe.
Makes it
with,
easy to
with
win
that
it.
arm bar, and a beautiful one at that. And then, of course, the fantastic knockout of the very first bout. We got two front runners, only 2 fights left. Let's see if the co-main and main event can cut in front of the line of the two great stoppages we've seen so far tonight. Noad Lahat is one of the best prospects I've been watching. You see his American Kickboxing Academy. You see Crazy Bob Cook, Josh Thompson in his corner. 7-0 officially on Sherdog.com. He was a Sherdog.com prospect to watch. He's of the 6 fights that he's documented, all of them are finishes in the first or second round, but he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. So I'm curious why he had that layoff. We'll see if it's going to slow him down at all here in 2013 after 20 months or so without fighting.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them, but these 7-0 guys, and he's fighting another tough guy with Shad Smith. This is one of those tests he needs to do to see if he's deserving of taking to that next level.
Yep, this is our co-main event. 3 5-minute rounds, 145-pound contest. Noad Lahat, definitely talented. We have seen him before. Very skilled fighter. He does show a lot of promise, but as Gabe just mentioned, the one time you kind of coast or don't fire on all cylinders should not be against Shad Smith. Shad Smith unseated Jared Papazian. Papazian later revenged it and beat him. But yep. Papazian, the jackhammer, is one of those guys who is completely tenacious, very skilled, undaunting. And on a night when he was off his game, Shad Smith took him out of the fight, submitted him. So Lahat, a good test, I think. Shad Smith always shows up to fight. He's going to test this undefeated warrior.
Oh, we can call a spade a spade. You know, Shad Smith, losing record. He's lost his last 5 in a row. But like you mentioned, you take anybody lightly in mixed martial arts, it's going to bite you in the butt. And this is a good fight for Noad Lahat, who if he hasn't fought for a while, wants to get a fight under his belt. You don't want to fight someone who's 10-0 after such a long layoff. You want an opponent to get your feet under you. And if you're Shad Smith, hey, you're saying this guy's had a long layoff. This is my chance to come in and do what I can to see if I can upset the undefeated fighter.
Another thing you got to know about Shad Smith, and you're going to see it as I say it or sooner, he is a character. He's got tons of personality. He's a very jovial guy. He'll joke around. He'll entertain. You're not going to see any relaxation or boredom out of him until the fight is over and he probably goes home.
Shad is as tough as they come.
Yeah.
You look at his record, he's 12-19-2, but he is a tough dude.
He's fought a who's who over the course of his 13-year career, turned pro in 2000. He's fought UFC veteran Chris Saunders, Chris Beal here, a Bamma USA veteran, Chad George, WEC veteran, Kana Hyatt, who's a champion in another promotion here locally, Jared Papazian, like you mentioned, UFC veteran Dan Fan, UFC champion Dominic Cruz, UFC veteran Dwayne Ludwig. I mean, he has been you look at that record and you're wondering, well, how did he get 19 losses? Well, you fight those guys, you're going to pick up some losses.
And I like Shad a lot, but I think that he's in here expressly to see what Lahat has got. That's his role. And I mean, look, if he walks right through him, we don't know how good Lahat really is.
Yep.
But if he makes Lahat have to work, then it's gonna decide what type of fighter he is.
I don't think there's any question to whether or not he's going to make Lahat work. Whether he can unseat Lahat and make him have his first loss, that's probably, for me, the big question. But he's going to make Lahat work. This is not going to be a walk on the unemployment line for Noad Lahat.
It could happen. I mean, we see these fights. We won't see when it happens.
Nothing happens till Mike Vail
Ladies
speaks.
and gentlemen, let's get the action started. Our next bout is the co-main event of the evening. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. His official weight, 146 pounds. Fighting out of the American Kickboxing Academy. Please welcome Noad Lahat. And now let's welcome his opponent across the cage in the red corner. His official weight, 144.5 pounds. Let's welcome from San Bernardino, California, Shad, the American Badass Smith.
3 5-minute rounds scheduled, 145-pound contest, our co-main event. Just to give you an idea about Shad Smith, the American Badass, he said what's interesting about him, he says, I'm a gay midget. How do you train? What's unique about your training? He says, I smoke exactly 4 cigarettes a day. He is
3 is not enough. 5
Yeah.
is too many. You got to go with 4.
He
Right?
is a
Goes with the
character.
perfect amount.
He
Maybe
is a
it's worked
character,
for him.
but he's a very, very talented character, and he is going to make this a fight.
He's a character, no doubt about it. Let's see how much ring rust Lahat can shake off here.
Shad Smith in the red and black camouflage-like trunks, the red and black with the black stripe. That is Noad Lahat.
Lahat was with a straight right, teep right into a clinch, closed the distance very well. Now he's
Goes
got
right
Smith
for
against
it.
the back. Going for a weird head and arm trip position here. Hard to do when you're against the cage.
Just that overhook. He's using that to get back in front of Smith.
You wonder how familiar with Smith Lahat is, too, because if you're not familiar with the level of competition he's been in with, he could surprise you.
What a great look at! See how Lahat used that leg to sweep Shad Smith
Very
up,
nicely
gets him in
done.
like a cradle position, easy takedown. Now he's on top of
Right
a very
to the
dominant
side.
position. Shad Smith gives up his back. See what Lahat does with it. He's got the rear wrist. Now he's got the 2-on-1 standard wrestling hold. Knees to the rib cage for Lahat. That opens up the hook.
On the opposite side. And then Lahat just slides off to the opposite side. Precise with all of his movements.
Again, takes that leg out of Shad Smith.
I
puts
really
it down
love
on the
those
ground.
little heel sweeps by Lahat. Very, very judo-esque. Just kind of popping, just using your heel to pop the any limb that's being used to prop up his opponent's body.
And he's using it with great effect.
So little energy required and so effective. Very, very similar opening round to the last one we saw with Jesse Juarez. Just working your position, not overexerting yourself. Exactly how you drew it up.
Yeah, Lahat taking his time a little bit more, peppering in those shots.
Yeah, mixing in body and head, keeping Shad Smith busy. He's riding the back foot of Shad Smith.
He's keeping himself in dominant position the whole time. He's not allowing Shad to escape or be able to cause any offense.
Shad cheats that foot inside to try to get some position to get to his feet, and as soon as he does, Lahat takes it out right there again.
Right again.
Sense of awareness on Lahat, impressive. Everything Shad Smith is doing or thinking about doing, he is aware
Pick
of.
the ankle. He's ensuring that he stays in dominant position. He's not letting Shad do anything.
He's got one hook in, not in any rush to put the other hook in. Shad Smith got down on his right hip, so he can't put the other hook in, but definitely opened himself up for strikes, which Lahat's doing.
Does Smith at this point need to do something explosive? Because when he's plotting his escape, taking his time, Lahat keeps taking that foot out and he's going back to starting point.
Absolutely. Shad needs to get his back onto the cage. And until he does that, he's going to have Lahat on top of him dropping these strikes.
But quickly and explosive, no? Because
Absolutely.
when he's doing it slowly and methodically, Lahat keeps taking down his foundation. He's building a foundation to get out, and he's taking it down. He has to start over again.
Lahat's being very precise, and he's not allowing Shad to even be able to have that explosive movement.
But Shad's doing a good job of not really taking too much damage as well. I mean, he's clearly losing, and the momentum is all on Lahat. But Shad, not really taking a lot of damage. I don't see any blood or anything going on. So Shad, that veteranship, he's been able to survive worse positions.
Absolutely.
But he's got to do something.
Yeah, that's. Let's be clear here, too. Not a great position. This is not look visually pleasing for Shad Smith or a Shad Smith fan or supporter. However, he's not being pummeled. He's not being beaten up. He's not winning, but he is certainly well within his right to be in this fight. He's just having a hard time, I guess, turning the tide with what Lahat's been able to do.
The reality is, though, if Lahat decides to stay consistent with the strikes, he could get a TKO.
Yeah, it's
and
within reach.
Just now, as he's being more active, even though Chad is not taking punishment, the referee sees you're not getting out of a bad position, he will stop the fight.
It's questionable now because it's not so bad that I think a stoppage might get a displeasure out of the audience, both viewing and present in-house tonight. Just 30 seconds left. I would think he'd have to turn up the heat a little bit more to get an actual stoppage. I think at the very least, he looks like he's kind of like on cruise control versus pushing the pedal.
Well, he's got both hooks in now. It's hard to get a really dominant position, really stretch out Shad Smith because of the cage and the position that he's at. So Lahat's kind of on awkward, awkward top position, but still a dominant position, still peppering Shad Smith. Now there is a
Looks
knee.
as though for a toe hold.
There's
almost.
a toe hold, and there's a knee bar there that I've seen before, very rarely, but it's definitely a possibility for Lahat.
If you had to describe the round for Lahat in a word, dominant. Clearly.
Not overly aggressive, not super lopsided, but he was in charge of every single second of that entire first round. And again, a guy who hasn't fought for almost 20, 21 months. Good way to get back into the swing of things. Good way to get some cage time back in against a guy he should beat. And he's looking exactly like the fight we thought it would be.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a 10-9 round. It wasn't a 10-8 round, but he decisively won it. There's no way of saying that the other guy was even in that round.
Let's remember Gabe said that if this does go to the scorecards, because I agree, 10-9, not 10-8. But you never know when you hear, again, one perspective per judge. Some of the action here that Lahat pulled off, just completely control.
That fantastic little leg scoop into a cradle, right into a great position. You can see how he's slid his knee across the bottom thigh of Shad Smith, get a real dominant position, almost like a mount.
fan.
You have done something. Yep. It was the National Coalition for Koalas.
Little over 30 seconds left. I look, unless Lahat really picks it up or goes for a flash submission, I think it's going to go into the third. It's going to be another 10-9 round as far as I'm concerned.
Shad's trying to, all right. Shad was trying to shake Lahat off of him, but Lahat was able to drag Shad Smith back down by reaching for that far leg.
Yeah, he was really riding high. It looked like Shad was going to be able to get out the back door there, but then, again, Lahat drags him back in. Just complete positional control by Lahat. This is a guy who is very familiar with his own game plan and just not derailed.
And Lahat ends it very well, ends that round very well with knees to the side of the head in kind of an all-fours position. Opens up a nasty cut over the right eye of Shad George. Smith, excuse me. Whoa.
But if Chad George got hurt, we apologize.
I've called enough of his fights. It's starting to get mixed up.
Know. It's Chad George.
Shad Smith.
Shad with an S-H.
Shad's got to have a sense of urgency now.
Yeah.
I mean, as we saw in an earlier fight, you're down 2 rounds. Is he going to come out and throw that Hail Mary? I'm going to throw everything I possibly have at him.
It worked in fight number 1.
Will it happen again? Who knows?
I think he should because he's not a careless and unskilled fighter. I think he should. I think at this point, what has he got to lose?
Well, and especially when you go with someone like Lahat who's obviously controlling him very, very well.
Anyway.
So, you know, what do you have to lose at this point? You know, you're going to either lose at 30-27 or you get the spectacular come from behind knockout.
Roll the dice.
He's got the potential to pull off the upset.
He's down 2 rounds. Even if he wins this round, he's down 2 rounds decisively.
Right. We talked about this earlier. I call this, it's now become part 2. It's its own fight. He has to win the fight. The judges can go home. As far as Shad Smith is concerned, they're a non-factor. He has to simply finish the guy in front of him. That's it. Can he? Absolutely. But tentative and cautious with 5 minutes left to do it is not going to work. He's got to tap into his bag of tricks and use it because Shad Smith has the tools to finish the fight.
Head kick by Lahat.
He just got to do it.
Well, especially knowing that if Lahat
Nice
he feels
right hand.
uncomfortable, well, what she just does, he takes him down.
Behind the right hand, it landed crisp against the chin of Shad Smith, and then he followed it up immediately with a takedown. Shad Smith in the red and black camouflage tap-out shorts, the red with some black and white trim, and the pink ankle wraps. Noad Lahat.
Shad needs to square his hips up. He cannot have Lahat on the side like that.
Lahat going for that underhook. Thought maybe he's going to go for a Kimura or something, but no, he's staying with the position.
Sometimes in a fight you see domination like this with control, and you say about the guy who's not in the favorable spot, he needs to figure out how to adapt. He needs to learn to adapt.
And that was an illegal knee. Yep.
I think Lahat's just not letting him adapt. I think Shad Smith knows what to do. I just think Lahat's not letting him. Knee, bloody nose.
It's just a warning, correct?
We'll see. We'll see what Mike Belcher and the referee does because that was pretty blatant. You know, Shad Smith wasn't on his way up. He was on all fours. That was an illegal strike. We'll see what if he gets away with a warning or if it's a point.
Shad Smith does not look.
But he does get back up to his feet at least.
He doesn't look angry or upset at all, too. I think he knew it was just kind of like an instinctual.
Shad's a fighter's fighter. He understands.
Whoa, that head kick
again.
That could have teed Shad Smith head off into the 8th row.
Lahat, some good striking. Chases it right in.
For the single.
Just a simple single leg dump. Back on top. Wash, rinse, repeat.
He's allowing Shad to get back up, though. And nope, back
Shad
down.
Smith. Yep, well, look, he was trying to set up possibly a guillotine. Lahat takes him down before
now
that
this
can
could potentially have been what Lahat was trying to get. His ring rust out. You know, do 3 5s. Get consistent. Don't try to overextend yourself at any time. But, you know, it also could be Shad's durability. He's very, very tough.
If Lahat has ring rust, then he's being greedy because he hasn't shared any of that with us.
Lahat's fighting like a guy who's mastered a level in a video game and just does the same thing. Like he knows jump here, throw a fireball there.
Excellent
It's,
analogy.
it's like he's done this before 100 times and he's just pushing buttons on cruise control.
Which is actually the one possible downside to that is it almost gives you a sense of that he's dialing it in, he's phoning it in, and he's not actually putting the pedal to the metal and making a realistic go of it to his potential.
Well, when you look at the records, 12-19-2 for Shad Smith, 7-0 for Noad Lahat, you're thinking, why are these guys fighting? This is why. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. He needs some more ring experience, and Shad Smith's the kind of guy that can get you ring experience, just dangerous enough to keep it interesting, but a guy you should win. And he's hanging tough. He's making Lahat work, and quite honestly, he's making Lahat look good but not spectacular by hanging in there tough and. Lahat's fighting mistake-free, but not doing anything overly spectacular. But he's completely dominating a veteran. But you think maybe he'd be able to finish a lesser fighter than Shad Smith by now.
Yeah, I'm actually in 100% agreement with that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, Shad Smith is not the guy you're going to look good against if you're coasting. I just think, like you said, maybe he's been, and both of you actually said in different ways. He's pacing himself. He's putting the work in, but he's doing it in a way when he is really not in harm's way.
Lahat looks good, but he doesn't look incredible. He doesn't look like that next step guy that you're looking for. He looks he's doing wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And I mean, it's very he's doing it very, very well, but hasn't been anything that shown anything particularly amazing.
He's looking like exactly what he is, a very, very good undefeated prospect with a lot of ring rust coming back in his first fight off of a long layoff. That's exactly who he is. And if he would have come out and flying armbarred Shad Smith in under a minute or spinning wheel kicked him, would say, okay, he's all the way back. Let's get him in there with the Wolves.
But
and
on
see
the
where
other
he's at.
end, you don't know because
that's why you had these fights.
Exactly.
30 seconds left in the round is the final round. I think that the one detrimental thing for Lahat's performance for me is that I feel like that phenom, that exceptional, maybe could be rising star athlete guy, I see the potential in him. I think what bothers me is that he's not putting forth that extra, because I think there's hints of it being there.
And he's fighting smart. He fought to win. He controlled.
No question.
14 minutes and 55 seconds of a 15-minute fight. Fantastic performance for coming back after a long layoff, and we'll see how he is in his next fight. Win, move on. He now stays undefeated. Did you score any of those rounds a 10-8, or were they all 10-9s?
I think they're all 10-9s as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I mean, Lahat did enough to definitely win the round, but he didn't really hurt Chad to the point where it could have been a 10-8.
Yeah.
Shad never seemed at any point to be finished or close to being finished, just dominated, controlled.
I mean, he wasn't able to escape, and Lahat rode him like a pony. But, I think 30-27 will be the appropriate score. But who knows? The judges might have thought that having dominant position for that long could be, a 10-8 round.
Yeah. Again, the scoring criteria is so subjective in mixed martial arts. There's not a point system. There's not a 10 right straights equal a 10-8 or anything that specific.
Well,
it's up to
the amateur mixed martial arts movement in Southern California was implementing, I think other parts of the country maybe also, a half-point system for certain things like sweeps and escapes and attempts to not let those things go unscored.
Well,
if the judges are savvy, they may give that weight anyway.
The reality is the sport is still growing, and it's still in its infancy. So I think that's going to come with time.
Yeah, and I think it is. But just to kind of also qualify my statement and assessment of Lahat's performance, flawless, dominant, and I think that the one aspect of it where I seemed a little bit reserved on being overly congratulatory is that I do see a lot of potential in him, and I felt like he was cognizant of being cautious to a certain degree.
But again, it could have been just to kill that ring rust. I think his next fight will be the real deciding factor.
Mike Vale's going to give us the official word from the judges. We'll find out right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, for 3 rounds of MMA action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges, Louis Cobian, Gene LaBelle, and Stephen Davis, scored about the same, 30-27. For your winner by unanimous decision, Noad Lahat.
You see, Shad Smith always a good sport. Win, lose, or draw. Lahat now gets to speak with R.J. Clifford, an honor we've had tonight at the table. Now he gets to have R.J., and then we get him back. That's how this relationship works, people.
All right, I'm here with your winner, Noad Lahat. After he gives a lucky fan his hat.
He threw out the Lahat.
Wow.
All right, Noad, first and foremost,
The Lahat.
it's been about 20, 21 months or so since we've seen you fight. What was up with the layoff? What have you been up to?
הייתי קצת פצוע, כל מיני שטויות אחרות, בגלל זה.
He said he wants to thank his wife, Stephanie, for being here and being supportive. Thank you. And wants to thank all the fans for coming out. And it's been a year long, and I really appreciate you guys coming out.
You
I don't
were
think he
fighting
said
him
that.
almost like you were playing a video game you'd beaten 100 times. You just had an answer for everything. Is that pretty accurate?
כן, אנחנו מתאמנים הרבה ב-AK על כל דבר, עם החבר'ה, אז תמיד, זה הדבר הכי קל.
He said he trains with the best guys at AKA in San Jose, California with Ken Velasquez and myself, Josh Thompson, and a bunch of the other guys there at the gym. So he really didn't see anything that he wouldn't have.
Completely dominant.
כן, בהחלט. הוא הגן הרבה, לא נתן לי לעבוד רוב הזמן, עבד חזק, וזהו בערך.
Really disappointed that he didn't get the finish, but it felt like he was really hard to get the finish because he was just so defensive, just covering his neck and holding on. But like he said, he was working for it, he just couldn't get there.
Clean sweep for your winner. Give it up, Noad Lahat.
תודה רבה לאשתי סטפני, אני אוהב אותך.
He wants to thank his wife again for coming and really loves you, and thanks for being here. Also wants to thank Tree Crew Industry guys for coming to support him.
Your winner, Noad Lahat.
Lahat, classy in victory.
I still think that was not what he was saying.